to, if you want to be present, have your camera on, you are more than welcome to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the panel for living with epilepsy as a teen and young adult. My name is Beth Stivers and I'm the Director of Education, and welcome to November as Epilepsy Awareness Month, and also welcome to our very first session of our End Epilepsy virtual statewide conference education series. So we're so glad for those of you that have joined us. We're very excited to talk to this group of young adults and teens and hear their story. As we move forward, please, if you have any questions while people are talking, you can put that in the chat. It will have definitely a Q&A session after everyone has shared. And then we will, if you don't want to ask a question verbally, you can put that in the chat and we'll be moderating the chat. Deb, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Deb. I'm Deb McGrath. I'm the Executive Director and co-founder of the Epilepsy Foundation of Kentuckiana, and my daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy 33 years ago, and so I am excited, along with, to have Beth and David and Sonia on board with us. They are part of the staff of the part of the Epilepsy Foundation of Kentuckiana. Been talking national all day, so we are excited to have all of you join us this evening and look forward to continuing this conversation.
And so for those of you that are on the call, just to let you know, the Epilepsy Foundation of Kentuckiana serves individuals living with epilepsy throughout Kentucky and Southern Indiana. So if you have any questions or you have some concern and that you need assistance with, we also, Sonia Ferguson's on the call. So if you have any questions or you need to be referred to her, she is our social worker. So she is here also to kind of wave. Sonia, I know you need it to be muted right now. But anyway, thank you for being on. But I will go ahead and introduce the first panelist. His name is Tony Chu. And I'm going to mute myself and then open the floor up for him to share his story.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Tony Chu. That last name is, you can just call me Tony Chu. That last name is really hard to pronounce. But I am a student. I am a sophomore, actually. I am at Dunbar High School, which probably makes me one of the young people on this panel. I go to Laurence Dunbar in Lexington, Kentucky, and I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was in middle school. I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, I was diagnosed with epilepsy around a couple years ago. My first episode, I was diagnosed with epilepsy after my first seizure, which happened in, it actually didn't happen here in Kentucky. It happened while I was out on a vacation in Utah. I was visiting my mom, who was living in Utah at the time because she had worked there. And while we were visiting, the house caught fire, or the apartment, and we had to evacuate. And while we were evacuating, I had my first seizure, which I later learned was a I guess it was a tonic-clonic seizure. I was rushed to the hospital, obviously, and there the doctors they said that I had a seizure and I had to stay at the hospital, and I stayed there for an entire night. Everybody was pretty concerned. I had a little bit of nausea afterwards, but I thought I was going to be fine, because I thought it was just going to be a one-off thing. And then I had my second seizure, I'm pretty sure in my 7th grade year. When I was in my 7th grade year, I was walking to school one day and I collapsed on the side of the road, which meant that I was completely helpless. Somebody had to call a police, not police, call 911 for me. And that meant that I was rushed to the ambulance once again, and this time my parents actually got very concerned because this was the second time I had a seizure, and it hadn't been that long since my first one. And this is when the doctors, they diagnosed me with juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. And at this point, I started to take medication for my epilepsy because I didn't want to have any more seizures. So I took one form of I used to take one form of medic. I don't remember what it's called. I take something called, I don't know if that's the right word for it. As I took the medication, I still had more seizures. I had a seizure once while I was playing the trombone. I had an absent seizure while playing the trombone, and I had to miss out on my honors band audition because of that. I was out for the school day, and that was the point. That was when epilepsy also affected part of my, like, I guess, school life, because I couldn't play trombone anymore because I might hyperventilate, which was what my dad said. And that was kind of something that like pushed me to be a percussionist in band for the rest of my middle school career. I had another seizure once, which is actually a little bit of a silly story, because I got a seizure because I was getting overexcited over a video game. I was playing Minecraft with my friend, and I got overexcited and I had a seizure over a call. And my sister at this time ended up having to call the ambulance on me, since my grandmother, who was with me at the time, didn't speak any English. And then I was rushed to the ambulance once again. Though after these two seizures, I had to switch medications because my dad worried that the medication wasn't helping. So our neurologist switched me to another medication, and at this point I switched to a Depakote, and I didn't have many seizures since. I don't think I've had any seizures since, actually. I've been pretty seizure free actually for the last couple of years, which is a good thing. But and I recently I'm currently recovering. My family is trying to get like my medication levels reduced from like 500 milligrams a day to maybe like just 250 milligrams a day, and we already got it reduced from 750 milligrams to 500. We did in I've had a lot of stuff done to me because of my epilepsy, at least like medical wise. I haven't like been experimented on, but like I have had an EEG where like they stuck all EEG or like they like stuck a bunch of like electrodes into my head, and then like on my head, and then they like flashed lights at me to see if I would react or something. I had two of those. The first one came back abnormal, so I did have something going on. I think the second one was now is like normal, so I don't normal. But right now I'm still taking my medication, and yeah, that's pretty much epilepsy wise. So yeah, that's my story.
Thank you for sharing that. That was great. For those of you that have questions, just jot them down and hold them till the end, and then we'll get each panelist can answer questions when we're finished. So our next panelist is Charles Wilson, and I'm going to let Charles tell you about himself now.
That's pretty much all I have to share. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Charles Wilson. I'm a student at the University of Louisville, and I graduated from Tate High School in Lexington. So today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story. So my story starts at when I was 7 in 2010, when I was officially diagnosed with epilepsy. I say officially because we think I've had epilepsy my whole life. But when I was a baby, my doctor just said I was having night terrors because she never saw me have a seizure. And she's like, oh, it's just night terrors. He's a newborn. He'll be fine. But at 7, they admitted me. They did an EEG because my mom finally got a video of me having a seizure and showed it to my pediatrician, and she sent me straight to the hospital. I go to UK Healthcare, and that's how I was connected to the Epilepsy Foundation, which is a huge blessing. So right after the age of 7, I got connected through Lorraine Bassel. She's a very good family friend of ours, and ever since I was connected, they've really helped me out. I used to think epilepsy defined me, and I couldn't do what I want to do with my life, but they've taught me throughout the years that epilepsy does not have to get in the way with my life. And they've taught me that there's other people like me, and I don't need to be afraid to share my story. It was really freshman year of high school that I finally started telling people I had epilepsy, because I was always embarrassed that I would get made fun of and this and that. But in my high school at Tate's Creek, there was another freshman that had a seizure, and not a single teacher knew what to do. And I was caught in the classroom, but still could not do anything due to legal reasons, and the nurse was not there that day. So for 6 or 7 minutes, I just had to watch that girl have a seizure, could not do anything. They wouldn't let me do anything. Didn't call an ambulance, didn't know what to do, even though I tried to say, you need to get a doctor here or somebody that knows what to do. Called the principal, all the vice principals, still nothing they could do. So that was my big turn of when I wanted to start sharing my story. And when I was selected to go to Washington, D.C. to share my story at the Teen Speak Up conference. And that's where I met a lot of my friends now that I still talk to. They've really helped me through my time of need. If I need somebody to talk to with my epilepsy, they've really helped me. And they've also taught me that epilepsy does not have to define me. So flash few years later now, I'm a freshman here at the University of Louisville, majoring in neuroscience and psychology. And hopefully I will go off to medical school after 4 years and become a doctor. I'm not sure if I want to become a neuroscience or whatever I want to do. I just know I want to be some kind of doctor, but the foundation has helped me out a lot in everything that I do today. They've taught me. Deb has been one of my biggest supporters. Anytime I'm asked who is the person you look up to, I say Deb, because she does so much for so many people, and it's just amazing the work that the foundation does. And again, if it wasn't for Lyndsey and her hard work for the Lyndsey Crunk Act, it would still be going on within the schools of kids having seizures. I mean, just think about it. It's 1 in 26. So think a normal classroom in Fayette County is 30 to 40 students. So at least one of those students could have epilepsy. And if it wasn't for Lyndsey and the foundation, there could be students being stared at still not being able to be helped. So the foundation has just been amazing in helping me feel more comfortable within my school, and all the other students that are afraid to go to school just because they have epilepsy. So something else that the foundation's helped me with, where I'm not afraid to share my story now, I was able to become a Porter Scholar here at the University of Louisville, which is, it's for African-American students with academic achievements and leadership skills. And if it wasn't for the foundation, I wouldn't have the leadership skills I have today. They've made me the speaker I am and the person I am overall. I just want to talk a little bit about my mom's point of view about going through my medicine and growing up, because where I was 7, I don't have the best memory of being diagnosed, but I started off on Keppra for about a year. After that year, I went to go see my neurologist again, and they saw I gained a bunch of weight on the medicine. So they immediately took me off of it and switched me to lamotrigine, which I'm on now. And as of January, I will be 6 years seizure free. So I'm getting ready to celebrate that. And as of May, I have an EEG appointment to see if I can come off my medicine. They're hoping that I've grown out of my seizures. They're still not sure, but I'm getting excited for that appointment, but also nervous because where I do live in Louisville, my family lives in Lexington, driving back and forth is a big thing for me, especially if something bad goes wrong. So that is another scary thing that I have to deal with living with epilepsy is driving. If I have one seizure, I could be without a driver's license 3 to 6 months. And if I don't have a license, I'm not sure what I would do. I mean, there would be no way for me to get to work, get home if there's an emergency, or just simply drive to the store. It would completely change my life. And the final thing I want to talk about epilepsy is it is a hidden disease. I'm proud that I'm able to speak about my epilepsy because there's some people that have epilepsy that just can't speak about it. They're not able to. So I encourage anybody that has epilepsy and they're able to share their story, come forward, connect with the foundation. They're great people that's here to help you and share your story because there's some people out there that just can't. Join us in Frankfurt every year. Just do a panel like this, tell your friends, and just try to share your story and teach them more about epilepsy because it is a hidden disease. I believe it's not as researched as it should be, but I think if we all share our story and our struggles and our achievements, that hopefully it will become more funded and more researched in the future. So again, I just want to say thank you to the foundation. And of course, thank you to everybody that's being brave and sharing their stories today on this panel.
Thank you, Charles. Really appreciate you sharing your story. Next up is Luke Birkes. Luke, take it away.
Hey everyone, my name's Luke. I graduated college from Morehead State University back in 2020, and I'm in the working world now, so it's not as fun. I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was in the 2nd grade, around I think 7 or 8 years old when I got diagnosed, and they were absent seizures. So my teachers just thought I wasn't paying attention because they had no idea what it was, because absent seizures just looks like you're zoning out in class, which is what a lot of kids our age did. Yeah, and I quickly, through my neurologist and some other people, learned about the Epilepsy Foundation. So my mom and dad and my twin brother, we started talking to the Epilepsy Foundation, where we met Deb and where we met Laurence. So we just started going to different Epilepsy Foundation events, and I started raising money for the Epilepsy Foundation, for the Epilepsy Walk in Lexington, where I was able to be the top fundraiser in Central Kentucky for 2 years raising money, which ended up getting me to be the Kids Speak Up representative my freshman year of high school. So I got to go to DC like Charles and so many other people, and like Lyndsey. And it was just a whole lot of fun. It was a great opportunity. I got to meet so many different people, and I got to make an impact. And I went years and years without controlled seizures. I would miss school. I wouldn't get to hang out with my friends. I've been in the hospital for long-term EEGs, which is 3 days, 3 times. But luckily I ended up becoming seizure free, and I have been for 7 years now. And I got to go to college, where I learned that Lyndsey and the Epilepsy Foundation got that bill passed to make all the public schools in Kentucky Seizure Smart. So that got my twin brother and I to wonder if we could make colleges seizure educated as well. So my brother and I, through working with Beth and Deb and the rest of the Epilepsy Foundation, managed to make Morehead State the first seizure smart college in the world, which was a great opportunity for us. And I hope that we can make even more colleges seizure smart and just help with the stress that going to college has for someone without epilepsy. Being able to take that fear of having a seizure in the classroom or just not even being able to go away to college, help take that weight off of it, and just to be able to do their best to have that normal life despite having epilepsy. And what Charles was saying about driving, I did not get my driver's license until I was 23. So just a year ago, which it was pretty stressful. Luckily, I found ways to still be able to get around, but it can definitely be hard, and it's good to find that support network. Like when I got to college, I joined the adult epilepsy support group. So that helped a lot, and to talk to other adults with epilepsy, and just because it's good to have a support network of people that do have epilepsy, because they understand the exact same stuff that you go through every single day. So just being able to talk to other people that go through things like that is an amazing tool to have. And lastly, what I'm going to say is just the biggest thing that's helped me through my epilepsy is being able to help those who don't exactly have a support network to go to, and just being able to help them, and even the people whose epilepsy is so bad that they can't necessarily do the kind of things that I'm able to. So just, I've always been a firm believer that if you have the ability to help someone, then you have the obligation to. And I've definitely learned that through the Epilepsy Foundation, and they've helped me be able to help so many people, and I hope to continue to do that. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Luke. Our next panelist is Laura Tinnell. Am I saying that correct, Laura? Okay.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
My name is Laura. I am currently a freshman at Eastern Kentucky University. I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was in the 8th grade. And I like to say that one day I just woke up with epilepsy, because that's kind of exactly what happened. I woke up one day and I just started like shaking and dropping things. And I was with my friend and I was like, "Do you see me shaking?" And she was like, "Yeah, I was going to say something." And so I dealt with that every single time I woke up from a nap or from the night. I dealt with that for about 6 months until I finally went to a neurologist and they diagnosed me with epilepsy. So that's really fun. At first, I was put on Keppra, and I stayed on Keppra and was fine until December of 2019, when I had my first big one, formerly grand mal seizures, I believe. That's why I had my first big one. And I woke up on the floor at my job and I was like, "What's going on?" And since then, I had seizures every 2 to 3 months, big ones like that. And my last one was February 1st, because I was put on a new medication, Vimpat. And so far, things are good. I haven't had a seizure in about 9 months, I think it is. And yeah, but epilepsy really affected me for those few years while I had it. Well, I still have it, but at one point I was taking about, I think it was 185 pills a week, just because there was so much going on. Honestly, I haven't really I don't think I've met anybody with epilepsy until I started getting into the Epilepsy Foundation, which is pretty sweet. I don't know. It makes me feel a lot less alone, if that makes sense. It's just nice knowing that there are other people that deal with what I deal with. Um, 2 people so far have mentioned driving, which is honestly such a big deal. I got my restricted license when I was 16, but I think like the total of me driving, I think I've only been allowed to drive for about 8 months, and I'm 18 now. So 8 out of those 2 years, I was able to drive. The rest of it, nope. And driving is a really big component of it. I was so scared that I was not going to be able to move to EKU on my own because the cutoff for when I would be allowed to drive was August 1st of this year, and I moved in August 11th. So if I had any seizures between February 1st and August 1st, then I could not drive while I was at college, which that would have not been great. So yeah, epilepsy has definitely been a big part of my life. I just got to live with it, you know. I think someone mentioned having a seizure while playing Minecraft. I had the same experience, which I thought was very funny, just to mention that. Every time I've had a big seizure, I've woken up nauseous and I've always thrown up twice, only twice, and that's it. And I don't know, I think that's kind of a fun little tidbit about me. But yeah, I'm part of the Epilepsy Foundation and community now. So that's very fun for me. I really like it. It makes me feel a lot more connected and less lonely, like I said. So I think if you have epilepsy and you're young and you're scared of it, that's perfectly reasonable, but just try to keep a good outlook on it. Things will eventually get better. I know I'm doing great, and I thought that life was over as soon as I was diagnosed with it. So yeah, I think as long as you stick with it and you really just keep a good outlook on life and stay connected with people like the Epilepsy Foundation, then it's all going to be okay. And you can do it. I believe in you. And that's it.
Thank you, Laura. And I want to make a note that Laura is also our 2021 Shannon O'Daniel Memorial Scholarship winner. So she applied to the foundation for the scholarship and she was selected. So that is something that she was asked to be on this panel because we wanted that representation as well. So thank you, Laura. Lyndsey, your turn. Lyndsey Crunk is next.
Hi, my name is Lyndsey Crunk. I'm 19 years old. I was diagnosed when I was 14 years old with juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, and I had my very first tonic-clonic seizure in 2015, and I had it in the shower. And then ever since then, it kind of just like went downhill. But I also had 9 seizures on Christmas Day of 2015. And then that wasn't pleasant, obviously. But the upside of all of this is like me meeting all of these people and going to like Teen Speak Up and like everybody said, passing my law, which was a great experience. I never thought that that could even be possible, but it was a great experience. And I guess I've been seizure free for almost 6 years, so that's good. That's pretty much all that I have to say. I don't know.
Well, do you want to talk about the Lyndsey Crunk Act, or?
Yeah, I can talk more about that.
Tell us about that.
it was passed in 2018. The Lyndsey Crunk Act requires everybody in the school, well, all teachers and staff, to be trained on what to do if somebody has a seizure, which gives everybody peace of mind. Because I knew that whenever I went to school, I did not feel safe, and that's why I went on homebound for the longest time. And so I feel like maybe, hopefully, whenever I pass this law, it makes people feel safe to go to school.
So Lyndsey, would you talk about testifying in Frankfurt? You wanted to carry on the conversation with me, okay? I know that, you know, you are shy. That is just your nature.
Sorry, I'm
of
just
being
like-
shy. It's okay. Just carry on a conversation with me. So we're going to talk about what that means, because there might be some individuals that are joining us this evening that have no idea what the Lyndsey Crunk Act is, and it could possibly help them in their school setting as well. So you went to Teen Speak Up.
Teen Speak Up in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a bunch of teens that either had the same thing that I had or didn't even have the same thing that I had, but they still had epilepsy, which made me feel a lot less alone. And I became friends with them, and I still am in contact with a lot of them. And
You had a year of service project.
Yes.
And out of that came you wanted to then make a difference in your school.
Yeah.
By educating the staff. Mm-hmm.
By educating the staff and the teachers.
Mm-hmm. But somebody got word of what you wanted to do. Representative Mark Hart heard about it and said, we want to take that even further than just your school in Georgetown, Kentucky. We want to take that on a statewide effort. And so you became the face of the Seizure Smart School legislation.
Yes.
And when it passed,
are you talking about like the
once it passed, then now what? Yes. And then what happened with you and with national, and where is it, where it is now?
So we're currently working on trying to get it in workplaces now.
Yes. But before that, the National Epilepsy Foundation, this was the Lyndsey Crunk Act was the first piece of legislation nationwide to ever pass. And so it became a national model of the National Epilepsy Foundations. And since then, 11 other states have passed their own Seizure Smart / Seizure Safe legislation. So Lyndsey led that charge and was instrumental. She and her mom were instrumental in getting legislation passed that is now, a national model. And Lyndsey has decided, since she's in the workplace, now do you want to talk about that? Now's that time.
Since I'm in the workplace, I thought that it would be a good idea to kind of do the same thing that I did with the Seizure Smart Schools and make sure that everybody who is in the workplace be trained and know what to do if somebody were to have a seizure in a workplace.
So we're working on that legislation, that piece of legislation this coming session here in Frankfurt. And we're hopeful that Kentucky will pass that piece of legislation and will be the second state in the country to have actually adopted legislation. And what it is there will be a poster. There's a seizure first aid poster. And along with the poster, we will have descriptions. Beth has come up with a piece that will go along with the poster that will give descriptions of the different seizure types. And so that way, once passed, then all businesses in Kentucky will have to post the poster, will have to post the poster along with all their other workplace required posters. So that way it's not going in and doing the education like we've done. And Beth can talk about the education. Beth and David can talk about the education we've done through the Seizure Smart School training program. But at least it would give workplaces the opportunity to know what a seizure looks like and then what to do, or at least the description of what a seizure is, the different types of seizures, and then how to properly administer first aid to them if needed.
So just to give a little bit more information about the Seizure Smart Schools, just because Lyndsey's not going to brag on herself as much as she already did on this. No, it's actually so impressive because I know when I first started at the foundation 14 years and some change ago, I thought, we would talk about how great would it be if every teacher was required to have training for seizures and epilepsy. And we had throughout so many years, there have been so many incidents where I was actually called to go to a school and do a presentation, and David as well, after someone had a seizure, and the staff they may have received like a very short 10-minute what to do if somebody has a convulsive seizure or a seizure that, just very basic, not really very detailed description of first aid. And so we'd go and everybody would be terrified. And it may have been a situation where they did not administer the proper first aid, and therefore it could have really put that child's life in danger, or it did put that child's life in danger. So that was the dream a long, long time ago. And then Lyndsey, as a high school student, was able, and I'm not bragging. I know the rest of you are super impressive, but this legislation made it possible for every educator in Kentucky to have to be trained in a 1-hour comprehensive seizure and seizure recognition and first aid. So basically, we have an online program that I think it's 70,600 people have accessed this training program. And so that is a whole lot of people out there that have received training because a high school student was scared in her school because she didn't think her teachers were trained and took action to do it. So it's really impressive. Also, part of that legislation requires that all students have a seizure action plan in the schools, which means that, the A to Z, what to do if that person has a seizure, is written out and is required. And then also that if there is a rescue medication, if someone's seizure lasts too long, because a lot of the schools out in the state are in rural areas where it may take longer than 5 minutes for an ambulance to get there. And so having that rescue medication be required to be administered according to the doctor's prescription is pretty impressive package deal there for our Seizure Smart Schools legislation. So for those of you listening, for those panelists, like you guys have worked so hard to get the word out about epilepsy and seizures, and every single one of you have made it a point tonight to come on and talk about your story, as well as share your story with friends, as well as go out into the community and make a difference, be it fundraising, be it educating your school, be it becoming a doctor so that you can work with patients. All of these things are fantastic, and it all starts with one little idea and then the courage see where that takes you. And so I want to congratulate each and every one of you for the work you're doing and for being brave enough to come on here today and share your story. I thank you so much for giving your time and your voice to talk about epilepsy. Anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to share anything else on the panel before we open up the floor? All right, well then I will open up the floor for questioning. And panelists, if you have a question for another panelist, feel free to ask. And we'll just kind of try to, if you have a question, just go ahead and either put it in the chat box or unmute yourself. Okay, Martha.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Beth said. You all are so impressive, and we really appreciate your input tonight. I have 3 children, but our middle child, who's 11, has epilepsy. He has Birkes epilepsy, so that's more activated with sleep. So he's very active, and my question to all of you all was, how did you navigate a busy lifestyle as a middle schooler and high schooler and now college with trying to stay safe as you're independent, going out to activities, sports? How did you navigate that without having to go into a long explanation every time you went somewhere in case something was to happen? So that's something as a parent I have to deal with constantly on how much to talk about and trying to weigh the risks and benefits of not saying anything versus getting into a situation where our child is just really frustrated with it all about epilepsy all the time. So especially when he hasn't had any seizures when he's awake and doing activities. So just had a question about that. And any input is greatly appreciated.
I can talk about that a little bit. So first of all, what I'll say is you can never talk too much about epilepsy. If you're concerned at all, don't be afraid to say anything. Throughout middle school and high school, on the first day of school for all my teachers, I went up to them and told them, hey, I have epilepsy, and all my seizures have been at night, lucky. So I've never had one I had one in public fifth grade, I'm sorry. But I just tell them like, hey, I just want to let you know I have generalized primary epilepsy. And if they're like, oh, what's that? I go into more detail because again, they're there for work and they're not there for just leisure time. So I have the right to explain to them. So I just go into detail and say, there is a chance that I will have a seizure. And I just go in detail about my story myself, just like a mini story, like they've only happened at night. I've never had one during the school day. But if it does happen, this is what you should do. Something I always told him is if he has an iPhone or anything like that, you can put in your medical information. And if you tap the side button, I think 5 times or 3 or 4 times, it pops up medical information. And I have in there that my mom's phone number pops up, my grandma's phone number pops up, and a good family friend, Laurence phone number pops up. And it will say, I have epilepsy, call one of these numbers. They will tell you what to do. Because I personally would not want 911 called if I did have a seizure in public, unless it's more than 5 minutes. And it also says that in the medical emergency, it says time the seizure, more than 5 minutes, call 911, less than 5 minutes, call one of these 3 contacts, tell them what happened, state who you are. And I also have in there to videotape it on my phone or their phone, just so I know what it was like. And that's also a good way to time it because a video will have a time at the top. Going into work, and I didn't do sports, but I did marching band. Again, I just told everybody in my section, same for a sports team, like, hey, I have epilepsy. At his age, that might be a little hard to do right now, of course. But as he gets older into high school, just tell his, if he can tell his friends, like, hey, I have epilepsy, this is what you can do. Or for my section, I was like, hey, y'all, I have epilepsy. If I do have a seizure on a marching band performance, try to just get me off to the side, stuff like that. I would tell my band director, of course. And again, just let him know, don't be afraid to share his story to people that he's concerned and he spends a lot of time with. It's never a bad thing to let somebody know that you have epilepsy and it's possible to have a seizure. So just tell him to be brave, stay calm, and share his story with people that he needs to.
Does anyone else have anything to add?
Yeah, just to follow up on what Charles said. I always told everyone about my epilepsy. I would, at the beginning of the school year, even in college, I would tell my professors, hey, I have epilepsy. I haven't had a seizure in this amount of time, or when I was having seizures, I have been having seizures, and if I have one, is what you need to do. But also, I created my friendships around my epilepsy, because that way I can explain to my friends, this is my type of seizure. This is what would happen if I had a seizure, just so, because I felt more comfortable if my friends knew it, because then I knew I could go over to my friend's house and feel confident in the fact that if I did have a seizure, that they would know what to do. But also, just going off what she said about just being busy, like, it's just prioritizing what's important to you and what doesn't. Like, I set myself, especially in college, even before my brother was my roommate, I would have been like, okay, guys, it's 11 o'clock. Time for you to go to sleep or get out. Because like, I had to set a strict bedtime schedule for myself, but also just understanding that I would love to go and do stuff that everyone does, but there's certain times where I can't. Like, I can't, like in college, you got kids going out drinking all the time. I can't go out there on a 24-hour drinking spree with them and stay out till all hours of the night. And that's all right, because it's like, do I want to look cool, or do I want to be seizure free and have opportunities to go and do stuff that's safe for me? So it's just that, like, everyone wants to be cool and everyone wants to be liked, but in my opinion, if the only way to like them is to if the only way for them to like you is for your health to be at risk, then I don't really want them to like me anyway.
Martha, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, and I don't know if you've been involved in the Epilepsy Foundation much, but we have a youth support group that.
Yes, we've attended some of those, the online that Gary has offered.
Yes.
So the online is just kind of, ho-hum. He doesn't really feel like, and I think he's just at an age where he's not going to put himself out there and, do a lot of these things that these awesome kids tonight are doing. He's just not at that stage yet.
Correct. Right. That's why I thought that maybe the youth group, and unfortunately, we're in a period where we have to be virtual, because, the child safety is, it's paramount. And so, so we, until we can all come back together again, we will continue to do the youth activities virtually. And we try to come up with different ideas, different activities that can be done. So, maybe if there's something that, you or your son feels, has an idea of something that would be fun and interactive for the group, we will welcome any idea or opportunity available.
Yeah, we look forward. He's very he just loves athletics, so he's just he needs to be moving all the time, basically.
And sitting in front of a computer trying to do activities is just not his cup of tea.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Yeah.
would suggest if he's involved with sports, suggest to the coach of the team that they get seizure first aid certified.
Mhm.
And I would assume if they're with a school system, they're probably already trained in seizure recognition and first aid, but the certification program that we do is online. It's an hour and a half, and then you are certified for 2 years in seizure first aid, much like CPR certification. And we offer that twice a month. And the next one's the 16th of November. For those of you also on the call that might be interested.
Yeah, my husband and son are going to do that on the 16th, and
Excellent.
I did mine.
Great.
I'm a nurse practitioner too, so that helps. But and then his Beth, I think you did our schools. He goes to a private school, so we
Okay.
like organized an event over the summer where they were all trained on the
Excellent.
seizure certification. So,
Wonderful.
but
Great.
I should think about the sports and maybe see if they can.
Could I add one more thing that I just thought of that might be good
sure.
for his age? Something my mom did, and I hated her at the time for doing this because I always thought it was embarrassing because at that age, I really didn't want to share that I had epilepsy. She always had a Word document ready to go. And if I was going to a sleepover, she printed it out and discreetly handed it to the parent and was like, don't let them know if you have this. And it just had, he has epilepsy. This is what you do. My phone number, my address,
Okay.
stuff like that. So maybe just have a document ready to go and every year send that to his teachers and you don't have to tell them. And that could
That's a
put
great
you
idea.
maybe at a better mind of ease and stuff like that, but just have a document always ready to go and a few copies in hand that if he's ever like, oh, I'm gonna go to a sleepover tonight, and you've never met you've met his mom, but he doesn't know I have epilepsy, just here's his paper, that's the end of it. So
Okay, that's a great idea.
That's awesome, Charles. And
Yeah,
Cindy, I know
Martha.
Cindy was on the call, or yeah, Cindy's still on the call.
Martha, if you ever have any, honestly, if you ever have any questions about as he gets older and things like that, and you have questions, feel free to reach out to me too, because I've been through it all. You know, there's not very much I haven't gone through when it came to epilepsy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we were trying to be involved in the walk, but we spent a week at the Cleveland Clinic right before that. So we're hoping to do it next year.
Yeah.
That'll be up his alley.
Yes. Well, that would be wonderful. We would love to have you involved. Yes. And Sonia, our social worker, she might have some ideas as well, how to help your son and get him engaged. We have offered in the past it's called Bounce Out the Stigma, and it's a basketball camp. It's a 2-day basketball camp, but of course with COVID, that's been put on hold. So hopefully in 2022, we can bring that back with Mighty Mike and if your son likes basketball, then, he can participate in that camp. I know, let's see, Charles, you've been involved in the camp. Luke, you were involved in the camp.
Yeah, I was.
No.
2 years.
Yeah. Laurence's daughter, Allie, was involved in the camp. So, yeah. So it's another opportunity that we offer. And so.
Well, we'll keep our ears open as things get better, hopefully, and everybody gets over this COVID situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Does anyone else have any questions for the panelists?
I don't have a question. I would like to say something. I have never been more impressed with a group of speakers. Never in my life. I was a late bloomer. I had my first seizure when I was 50 years old, but I would never have been able to cope with it the way you guys have if I had been diagnosed at your age. There's no way in the world. I'm absolutely amazed at your courage, your bravery, your resilience. So thank you, Tony, Charles, Laura, Lyndsey, Luke. You're my new heroes.
I second
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Me
Just
too.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
I can third that. I've known several of them for several, for quite a few years and watched them grow and become the advocates that they are. Tony and Laura, I've not met before, but you guys are awesome as well. You guys are rock for sharing your story and your journey with epilepsy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Tony, I have,
agree. I
yes.
was going to say something really quickly. I do apologize if you all hear my daughter in the background, but this is my first time participating in this panel, and I am very, very honored to be a part of this. You all are so brave, and I'm just so excited to be a part of this tonight because there's so much great information coming from a young adults that it's just very imperative for you all to speak out, to continue to be brave and educate other people, educate adults, because there's just a lot of people who are not aware of epilepsy and the effects. And this is also very important to me because I have a son who is 6 and he has epilepsy, and he was diagnosed last year in December. So this is something that's new for my family as well. But the foundation and just meeting people like you all are it's very uplifting. And obviously I know that like several of you have said, that epilepsy is not who you are, and you can overcome it, and you all can be incredible people as you are and continue to inspire other people. So I just want to say thank you for your stories. And if you all ever need anything, please reach out, continue to reach out to the foundation. I'm new here at the foundation, but I'm super excited to be a part of it and just excited to work with all of you all. So just wanted to say that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, we are so excited to have you and all that you bring to the foundation and supporting individuals and families impacted by epilepsy. So we're all in this together.
I'd like to add one more thing about the one of the biggest issues I think for people, that I've noticed over the years working with people living with epilepsy is the stigma and the fact that people are afraid to talk about it because of the fact that people are afraid, or they think they might not know what to do. And you all, the younger generation, is going to be changing the minds of the world. And in the future workplaces, with you all doing what you're doing, a lot of the issues that we have seen over the years will soon hopefully be eradicated because people are willing to speak up and speak out and change people's perceptions of epilepsy and understand that it is something some people live with, and it's not something to be afraid of. So I cannot thank you all enough for doing what you're doing and just being yourselves.
Thank you for that, Beth. So Tony, I have a question for you. I know you said that, and I don't think that I heard all of what you said when you were talking about playing the trombone. And so did you say that you had to give that up because of your epilepsy, or can you talk more about your band experience and where that is now?
So I've been doing I've been doing music for a lot of my I am really into music. I used to play. I started off playing the guitar and the ukulele. I played piano ever since 4th grade. I dropped the guitar and I barely play it now.
Hey, Tony.
I started my band career in like 5th grade. That's when I started playing the trombone. This was before I was diagnosed with epilepsy, so everybody thought that was. Yeah. Yes?
Yeah. So you're breaking up.
Yes.
We're not able to understand all that you're saying.
Did you choose my name?
If he tries to turn his camera off, that might free up some of his like Wi-Fi space and just like does his sound.
Yeah, he said in the chat, wait, let me try something. So
Am I frozen?
no, well, yeah, I don't think that's better.
Is
Yeah,
it
I
better?
think that's better.
Okay. I closed out everything else on the Chromebook. Okay. So am I a bit clear now?
I think that's
Am I a
better.
bit clearer
We'll
now?
try it.
Or am I still breaking up?
Yeah, you're still breaking up some.
Okay. Okay. Um. Yeah. Let me try turning off my let me try turning off my camera. Is this a
good.
bit better?
Yes, that's better.
Am I still
Yes.
breaking up?
No,
Okay.
that's better.
So okay. So my band experience, I picked up the trombone in 5th grade and I was playing it. And I really wanted to do honors band, which is like, I guess it's like the top tier of like, it's like cream of the crop band and you get to, and I thought that it'd be a pretty good experience. But as I was practicing for it, I had an absence seizure at around like 8 in the morning while I was practicing my trombone because I guess I was hyperventilating while I was playing, and the only person at home at the time was my grandma, and she didn't think that she didn't know that I actually had seizures, so she thought that I was actually ignoring her, which ignoring her for some reason. And it wasn't until my dad came home that he realized something was wrong, and I was just completely out for the rest of the day. When I came to, I was like, I guess I just leaned over a little bit, and my dad and my grandma was like, or my dad was holding me, and they were like, "Tony, are you okay?" And I was like, I don't feel okay. I have a headache. I'm not feeling that good. I wasn't nauseous, which was good, but my dad was like, "You had a seizure. You need to stay home today." And I was like, "Today's my audition though, and I really want to do honors band." And he was like, "No, you have to stay home because you're not sacrificing your health for this sort of stuff." So I ended up staying at home that day and missing the honors band audition. Looking back, that moment on, my dad was like, "It's probably not that safe for you to be playing an instrument where you have to be like constantly blowing." So he contacted my band teacher and we agreed that it would probably be best if I switched to playing percussion instead. So at the end of my 7th grade, beginning of 8th grade year, I started playing percussion. I kept playing percussion up through my freshman year, and right now I finally like got out of band, I guess, and I'm just now focusing on piano, I guess. So epilepsy did impact my music career, which is one area that I fully did not expect it to impact me in. So yeah, that's my epilepsy story for my music career, at least.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I do, and there are some things that you more than likely know, is that unfortunately epilepsy could possibly impact parts of your life at different stages. And it's learning how to cope with that, or like you were able to, Tony, shift over to a different area, and still continue in music, but just not follow the path that you were originally on when you first started. So, but thank you for sharing that.
Any other questions?
I have another question. So, Laura, would you mind sharing what your goals are there at EKU? What are you hoping to achieve?
Right now, I am a history major just because I love history a lot. And currently, I'm actually working on a book about well, it's a lot to get into, but I'm working on a book about the Declaration of Independence. So my future, hopefully, goal is to become a history professor, either at EKU or another college, and just do academia stuff like writing books, researching, that sort of thing. So
Mhm. Very cool. Yes. Yeah, awesome. So Luke, you mentioned Morehead State and being the first the first university to actually pass Seizure Smart school trainings there. And I know that your goal is to take that throughout Kentucky, like Lyndsey did with the Seizure Smart schools legislation, but we can't pass legislation for colleges. That's just, you can't do that. So you're looking forward to working with the Epilepsy Foundation in getting other universities and colleges trained in seizure first aid and recognition. So maybe that's something that you and Laura and Charles can work on at EKU and at U of L, and that, you know, we can just start that fire, if you will, and ignite the colleges and universities in making them seizure safe and allowing the students there to know that, you know, that everybody on campus within the faculty and staff would actually know what to do if anybody had a seizure, if any of the students or even faculty, because we know a seizure can happen at any time and at any place. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm definitely willing to work with them, because just trying to make it comfortable for every young adult going into college, just trying to give them one less thing to worry about.
Mhm.
Because I remember from starting the support group at Morehead how much it affects others. And with Kobe on the Council for Post-Secondary Education for another year, that'll definitely help, because we have the CPE president that Kobe can talk to. So definitely with getting the CPE on our side, but also getting other epilepsy advocates from other colleges involved, I feel like is a good step. And hopefully we can conquer Kentucky colleges and universities, and who knows, maybe the whole United States one day.
There you go.
That's the big thing. And just even helping one kid going into college, that's enough for me.
Great.
Well, any more questions? Deb?
No, I do. I want to commend all of you, the panelists. I know Beth and David and Sonia expressed how grateful they are and how much they appreciated your confidence, your willingness to come on this evening and talk about your epilepsy. And for some of you, it's not easy. For others of you, it's something that you've learned to do over time, and you excel at it. But on behalf of the Epilepsy Foundation of Kentuckiana, thank you for bravely sharing your story and helping to make a difference in the lives of others, other young adults impacted by epilepsy and seizures. And while Martha's son isn't a young adult yet, but she knows that it won't be long. Unfortunately, it won't be long, and he's going to be where you are. And so, the work that you're doing tonight, and the work that you'll continue to do throughout, will make a huge difference in Martha's son's life and in so many others. And so I don't know, if anybody else has anything that they want to say, but we're just truly grateful that you all joined us this evening.
Thank you all so much. Well, it looks like, unless anybody has one more thing to add, it looks like we are around just a little bit shy of 8 o'clock, but thanks so much for participating in the session, and please stay in touch with me, panelists, and please continue to do the good work you're doing in your lives in terms of epilepsy advocacy. So,
and Beth, there is another thing, because I know that this was kind of like an onboarding thing, and I know Lorene is laughing at me, but we were hoping to kind of kickstart a support group for young adults.
Oh, yeah.
And so, this could be something that if you all are interested, that we can continue carrying on the conversation. So that way, for those of you that, do want to get together, that we can start out, because we know that you are busy, you're busy and you have active lives. But, if we wanted to set something up at the beginning of the year, we can definitely do that. We can reach out to you all and see if that's something that you would like to do. And then maybe meet on a quarterly basis virtually and, see where that goes. So if that's something that you all would be interested in, we would love to host it. And we could possibly get others around the state and Southern Indiana to also join us. So, all right, I'm done.
Well, thank you all so much for your time this evening, and participants, thank you for stopping by. Our next session will be on Friday at 3. It's called #Epilepsy Equity for African Americans and the Treatment of Epilepsy. And it's going to be a variety of medical professionals and individuals affected by epilepsy that will be sharing stories about equity and how to increase the equity in the treatment for African Americans with epilepsy. So that's at 3 o'clock on Friday. The same link will work for that presentation as well as the rest of them. So this is kind of a drop-in kind of situation. If you want to come to any or all of the sessions, use the same link, and hopefully we'll see you again. So thank you all so much. You all take care and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.